I had no sound. Now I got sound. I'm sorry, guys. It's I don't know what I'm doing. So let's start from the beginning. Hola, YouTube. My name is Ricardo Lino, and I'm a wheel addict. It's 1 a.m. for me. We're doing something different, and well, my guest, it's 6 p.m. for him, but the best is if you just meet him. His name is Kareem Shehab, and he's starting with a new project. So, ladies and gentlemen, Kareem. What's up, man?
What's up, Lino? I like that
You good?
animation you had in the beginning.
I always do that. I don't know. Did you saw? Was I without sound when I first started talking?
You didn't have sound, but the sound from the video was playing.
Okay. That's me. There's always something that is weird.
Technical
Anyway, we
difficulties.
good. Technical difficulty. You have a cool setup there, huh?
Oh yeah, I'm just in my basement studio area where I get my work done.
All good. So while we're doing this, for everyone at home, we can always, if there's questions happening and all that stuff, we can always just bring some of the comments. As an example, I'm going to bring some of them so that people know what we're doing and what I'm talking about. So here we go. We can bring the questions into our live stream. So we have a couple of people watching. At the moment, we have 17 people watching, which is not too much. The goal is to get to at least 100, but the main goal here is not even that. Karim, I met you a couple of years ago. I knew already about your skating. I met you through bike riding. That's actually why I'm using this.
Yeah, I saw the
So,
grime shirt.
do you wanna do you wanna explain a little bit how you got into skating, and then we're gonna go through biking, and then we're gonna go obviously to the important part, which is what we're talking today.
Sure. So, I started rollerblading when I was maybe in the third or fourth grade, but this is like mid to late 90s. My family was living in the Middle East. And so I think I got my first pair of skates when we were living in Saudi Arabia. And then from there, we moved to the United States. So I went to high school in New Orleans, Louisiana, and linked up with all the skaters out there and kind of got a little bit more integrated into the scene. And then from there, went to college in San Diego and did the whole California rollerblading thing. And then when I was in college, was out skating, shooting photos with Zebulon. He used to be a photographer, I think, at Daily Bread, and was shooting a lot for early BMag. And he also had his own zine called Any Given Day. But we were shooting this like trick in San Diego where I was like jumping from like this like roof awning to grind another roof awning, and I fell off of the top of this thing, dropped like 10 feet, and broke my ankle. And so I was kind of out of rollerblading for a while, recovering from that. But one of the things that my doctor recommended was that I start riding a bike just to kind of rehab my ankle and heal up. And so around this time is like when fixed gears started getting like really popular, and all my friends had them. So I picked up a fixed gear and started riding that, and then just kind of snowballed from there. And then once
That's sorry. I'm gonna need to interrupt you there because it's actually quite funny. The way that I started riding bikes was actually because of the same. I used to skate first, and then there was a time that it was a bit different. It was not the same type of accident, but my body was already messed up. So
yeah,
that's somehow I got into bikes. Basically, for me, like I think I broke my car or something. I needed a bike to move around, and then I actually realized like riding bikes, my feet didn't hurt, my ankles didn't hurt the same that they used to while I was skating. So I ended up doing it a lot more often. But when I started riding bikes, you were already big in it.
I mean, I don't know if I was big in it, but I was riding and had some sponsors at the time. Um,
Dude, the first time, actually, the first time I've seen fixed gear bikes, I think I never told him that. Jan Welsh posted something. I'm not sure if it was on MySpace or where was it, but Jan Welsh posted something about a video premiere of Death Pedal. Death Pedal was your first fixed gear video, am I right?
yeah, yeah, we did it at the Rat Tail warehouse back when that was still going. But yeah, all the Rat Tail dudes had fixed gears and we're all riding. Jan especially would go out like every day and session this parking lot in North Park, San Diego. So it was a big trend definitely, but I don't know, it was pretty fun. So yeah, I was doing the biking thing for like quite some time, but I never stopped rollerblading. So kind of always like, even when I spent most of my time biking, would always find time to rollerblade. And yeah, wouldn't say I ever like quit. So
Yeah, like from someone, again, I'm gonna bring I will explain you why I've been talking so much about biking, and that will come right now. So there was a time that I was really focused on bikes, and when I was really focused on bikes, you were actually there. You had like good sponsors, you had your own bike shop and all that. But
yeah,
even
I
back
think I
then,
remember
when a
we
lot of people knew in the bike thing, you were still putting skating edits out. I remember that. And even like a lot of those fixed gear riders, they would be into the trendy stuff. So some of them weren't really digging the rollerblading or the inline skating. You never really cared. It was your thing. So that's why I'm actually bringing the whole bike thing, because you've been doing it the whole time. So
yeah,
that's why it's cool in my opinion.
yeah, I found that I just like pick up these weird hobbies and can never really let them go. So, but you're right. Like people were kind of like, so there was a lot of skateboarders that were into fixed gear back in the day too, and they'd get kind of ticked off when I'd like post rollerblading clips or stuff like that. But whatever, I don't care.
Okay, now we made a quick introduction, but now we're gonna need to speak what the people are here to talk about, and that is this. You want to tell us a little bit of what this is?
That's the first time I've ever seen this picture. So, no, I'm kidding. So maybe about 2 months ago, something like that. It's kind of like thinking about. Well, this has always been an idea in my head, is to develop like a hilo frame, because I think the ground control hilo came out probably in like 2005 or 2006.
Okay.
And when
Was
it
that
came
about your
out,
time where you used to be a lot at the Rattel house?
well, yeah, that's when I first moved to San Diego, was 2000, the beginning of 2005. And so I was hanging out with like, yeah, some like the Rat Tail guys, but also like the Sunshine guys. So like Jeff and John Harris and Matt Morrison. And I remember John Harris was one of the guys working at Razors for a long time. He had the prototype of this bullet frame that they had like modified, I think, to basically like this configuration with the anti-rockers rolling and with I think 56 millimeter outers, and it was like yeah, like a flat high-low frame, and I just thought it was the coolest thing ever. And then after seeing that prototype, and then with the product being released, I picked up a pair and just like totally fell in love with the feel of it, and just, I don't know, everything about the frame just felt awesome to me. And so I would say like I've been riding that frame almost exclusively for, I don't know, like 15 years or however long it's been out. And
So
you
all
know,
those
there,
times that I saw you skating and making those skating edits and all skating edits, you
yeah,
were
pretty
on
much.
the ILO frames?
pretty much the whole time. There was like a couple instances where I like would try something new, but I'd always come back to the hilo. Um, and so, you know, they've been out of production for such a long time, and they're kind of getting harder and harder to like come by. Like, I think this is my last pair of like fresh ones that I have, and kind of don't really want to skate them. So,
Sorry to interrupt. What wheels do you have on those, the middle ones, the 47s?
well, I think this came off of like a stock setup. So this is just like the plastic anti-rocker. The ones that I actually skate be like these guys, for example. So
And what wheels are those? What
these
wheels
are the Eulogy 47 antis, and I think I've got Street Artist. I don't know. It's one of those brands.
Okay. I was asking you because today, it's been a while since I've seen the hilo. I know that the hilo came on the Shima 5s, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
They also obviously came on other skates. And while I was looking at it, I actually realized that 4x4 used to make a 47 millimeter wheel. And for someone who don't know what we're talking about, we will get a little bit more in depth about these 47s and whatever that is. We will get there because I'm actually waiting for one of these frames, and wanting or not, I end up spending countless hours looking for the wheels. But did the ground control, did the 4x4 wheels that came on those Shima 5 skates, were they anti-rockers or they had different durability?
I think they were a softer urethane. And as far as I know, those wheels were only available on complete skates. So I think they only came on the Shimas. I think there might have been a Murda skate that also had the hilos, but
Okay.
I never had the wheels.
Yeah, I was just asking because you had the frame stock, and that's why I was just thinking maybe he has the wheels.
I don't think I do. Actually, I might, but I don't know where they are. So, anyways, yeah, like I was saying, I've been skating the ground control hilo forever, just like totally in love with the feel of the frame, just how it grinds, how much space you have in the H block. But there was always like a few things that I wasn't, kind of like issues with the materials. So let me grab, where did I put it? Okay, so for example, this is like a very like well-used frame. I skated this one for a while, and you can see kind of like, even with the axle super tight, your wheel kind of rocks a little bit. So doing tricks like toe rolls or, whatever.
Do you think that's because it doesn't have a metal washer? Like, as an example, that was one of the things that changed on the latest ground controls, the Featherlight. I know that the first ones, I think they had metal washers, then the second ones didn't, then the third ones have again.
Well,
Do those have metal washers on?
these ones have the metal like frame spacers, but
Yeah,
it's kind of like a diamond shape. So
they cut
as the
they dig
plastic,
into it.
yeah, as the plastic kind of wears, then you get a lot of slop in this. And so
Yeah.
when the frames are fresh, like everything's super solid, it feels super good. But after prolonged use, you start getting like a lot of like sloppy, I don't know,
And gets noisy. and
wheels,
stuff.
yeah. So
Yeah, that's about. There's one frame on the market that is just like that. That's the Kaiser Slimlines. I really like how they're also a high-low skate,
mhm.
a high-low frame. They can be a high-low frame, but they really dig, like the axles really dig into the plastic. Okay,
Mm.
so I'm gonna let you go.
So yeah, anyways, like where was I? So because the high-lows are kind of like hard to find, they're out of production, and because of like these sort of like minute issues that I found when skating them, especially like older ones, I always thought it would be a cool idea to do like a metal frame with plastic sidewalls, plastic H block, because I tried the Kaiser Element 2s, and the 50/50 core frames were kind of like also sort of an inspiration for this, but I just didn't like how tall all those frames were. And for me, my style of skating, especially now, is like I can't bend my knees at all. Like both of my ACLs are torn, and so if you watch like any of my clips, like I don't like getting low, especially like on my knees.
I
do
call
all
it
my
lazy skating, man. But I'm lazy. I'm a lazy skater too. I love it. I'm not. It's not a complaint because the thing is, even if you look at some of the most stylish skaters, they they look like lazy on purpose somehow. You know what I'm saying?
standing up all straight and stuff.
I love it.
So that's like another consideration that I took into this is like lowering the overall standover height. So the distance between the bottom of your foot and the ground, just trying to like minimize that as much as possible, is something that I was looking to do. And so I guess the last consideration for this frame was to be able to ride a little bit of a larger wheel. The ground control DIs or the hilos, I think we're all designed around a 56 millimeter outer. And so anything bigger than that would give you an anti-rocker setup, which kind of defeats a little bit the purpose of, having a flat hilo frame. And so my idea was to kind of recess the first and last wheels into the boot a little bit, kind of like, what people are doing with like the Wish frames, or even like, I think the Kaiser Elements are designed in that way too. But basically, yeah, have like the wheel well mod so that you can recess the wheel into the boot a bit and then be able to skate a larger wheel size without sacrificing frame height. So I think those are all the main things that I was trying to attack with this. And the aluminum core is just like adds so much stiffness to the frame too, which is something that I really appreciated when riding the Kaiser metal frames. So that was something that I wanted to keep because, yeah, for most of my skating now is like bull riding or skate parks, and it just feels so good to have all of that power from, pumping your bowls or whatever, pumping the transition, like translate into speed rather than losing it somewhere in the frame or in the wheels or whatever. So that was the last consideration.
Okay. And then how did the whole thing came for you to actually go out and make your own frames?
Well, so that's kind of another sort of like funny happenstance sort of thing, was that I run a bike company called Masterblade Co. And we produce like fix-your parts and components and like freestyle parts. And this year, because of COVID, all of our production has been like super delayed. And so like product that I've ordered in like January, February, I'm still waiting on. And so just got like, and my store also like sold out in March. So just been sitting around kind of doing nothing, needing a project to work on. And, this frame idea has always been kind of in the back of my head, but just never really took the time to actually flesh it out.
So while we're doing this, while we're talking, I'm just showing the video that we just presented today here on the channel. So
Big drop this morning. So one of my good buddies, my friend Tate, he works as an engineer at this kind of like smallish company here in Seattle, and he has access to like all their CNC machines and stuff. And so I asked him if this would be kind of like a possibility for him to make me a first prototype, and he was like totally into it and helped me do it. And so that first prototype is what you see me skating in this like whole edit.
Dude, it doesn't go with what you're talking right now, but the thing is, while I was watching this, I couldn't stop thinking of the tricks that you were doing and on the skates and the tricks that you do on the bike, how similar your style is.
That's
I really
funny.
love it.
Yeah, I've
You
noticed that
really
with other people too. Like for example, like Mike, the way he like rollerblades is exactly the same as the way he rides his bike. It's kind of funny.
Dude, wait, yeah. But like as an example, when he did the Makio to negative fish brain, I could only think of that Predator, the trick that you do like a double
Oh yeah,
peg and then you jump over to double peg on the other side. It's the exact same. When he did the double negative to tap, it's just like a regular grind to nose bonk that people do on bikes. So I could
totally.
actually see the stuff like all the wheelies, which are manuals or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
So like I could really see your bike riding here.
That's funny.
So you this was the first frames that you received. Like this is the one that I was saying.
Yeah, this is all on the first prototype that my friend Tate made for me.
Okay. And what has changed since the first prototype to what people are going to receive now on the first
Basically,
batch and whoever is pre-ordering now?
yeah, basically nothing has changed. I guess the design was really good initially, but the very first ones I made had like a pretty shallow or pretty deep, I guess, H block, and
Mm-hmm.
that was like a pretty easy modification because those are all 3D printed, so I can like change and scale the model anyway, and get apart pretty quickly. So the only real modifications I made to the initial design were just changes to the H block. So I don't know if you can see in the video, it might be a little small, but the original H blocks didn't have this kind of like plastic bump going over and wrapping the
Mm-hmm.
antis. And so,
Kind of like some wheel wells or something like that that go around.
yeah. So this just kind of helps like keep you from getting like wheel bite when you're grinding stuff. So I was noticing that, yeah, I was like getting a lot of drag. Even though I was grinding on anti-rockers, it's still better to be on plastic. So added a little bit of material and then made the groove a little more shallow. And yeah, basically everything's been pretty much good since then. One thing that I would like to change in this next run, if it is financially feasible, I guess, is to have the H blocks actually machined out of Delrin as well. Just because this 3D printed material, Illumide, it's pretty decent, I guess, but it is kind of prone to like gouging and stuff like that. And so I think that from a longevity standpoint, having something machined out of Delrin would be a little bit longer lasting. But I mean, these are the ones I've been skating for, a few weeks, basically going out every other day, and they're
Have
not
you been
too
skating
worn out.
mainly parks or have you been skating street too?
Mostly parks, so take that with a grain of salt, I guess, but it hasn't been too bad. And I know a lot of the rollerblading like maker community or whatever, a lot of like the guys who are making 3D printed parts and skating them, like that's the go-to material that they use. So it's not like a total wash, but eventually if we get enough pre-orders, then I'll be able to do a little bit of a different material for the H blocks.
But for those who are buying the frames now, for those who are pre-ordering the frames or the ones that have the frame already on the way, like me, we can always just put the same block. Like whenever you have that block being made, we can just get the block later on, right? Because the frame shouldn't change. Am I right?
Yeah, the cores are gonna stay identical no matter what, and so all the parts are like interchangeable. For example, like the sidewalls are all symmetrical, so you can take your right foot sole side, put it on the left foot negative, or just switch them around any way you want, which I think will add like a fair bit of longevity to the frames too. This material Delrin is like the turf pegs, for example, are made out of that, and it's really like abrasion resistant and also impact resistant, which is good for something like a rollerblade frame.
Okay. There was some people. I don't know if you know how to answer that. I don't. But there was some people on the comment of the video that we just posted, that was actually posted here on this channel, asking about the difference between the UHMV and the Delrin. Do you know the difference? Like exactly?
UH Yeah, so UHMW and Delrin are two different materials, but they have pretty similar properties. I think UHMW is maybe like a little bit more of like a slick material, but the difference is pretty negligible in my opinion. And the problem with UHMW that I found in the past is that it tends to warp. And
Yeah,
so,
and it doesn't have the same memory, right?
right. So the parts that you get from UHMW, especially on a frame that's going to see a lot of abuse, like that'll eventually like warp and kind of get out of shape. And you just need something with more structure, in my opinion. And so to me, Delrin is like the obvious choice. It's like easy to machine. It's very durable, very impact resistant, abrasion resistant. So it basically has all of the good qualities of UHMW without the bad, in my opinion.
Okay, and now we all know that skaters are usually picky, including myself and yourself. And is it possible to make it in the same colors? Because UHMW, you see it a lot more times in white. Delrin, whatever, I don't know how to say
Delrin.
it. Yeah, we usually see it more black. Am I right?
Yeah, but there is white Delrin, so I don't know if that's
Okay.
something that would be a big selling point to people. But if someone in the comments or people want to DM me that they really need a white frame, like that's totally doable. I think those are pretty much the two only like commercially like widely available colors in this material, but
Okay.
it should be good enough, right?
Also, something that was interesting is when you first started the frame, you made your first prototype, and when you thought of going to production, I was talking to you for a bit, and you set up with a second. You ended up coming out with a second frame length. Do you have anything else planned, or you plan on staying on two frame lengths?
I think for now the two frame lengths is probably enough. So the small size, which is what I'm riding, is a 255 millimeter wheelbase, and then the large is 270. Um, I did see there were some comments from people asking for something that's even larger than that for like size 12 or bigger skates. Um, I'm not sure if the demand is quite there for something like this, especially, it's like a pretty specialized product. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the designs are like, I designed everything myself. So, like, it took like 2 mouse clicks to make the large size, basically.
Just for those at home watching this right now, so either the frames and the box, it's something that you do on the side, but you have an engineering degree, am I right? Or
That's
what do you
right.
do for a living?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, I have my undergraduate and master's degree both in mechanical engineering. And for the last almost decade, I've been working for the largest aerospace company in the world. I think most people can guess what it is. As a
Can
design
we try
engineer.
to find out what it is?
So I've been working as a design engineer in like an R&D team within the company, and so heavily involved with design. It's like my bread and butter every day. So designing something like a rollerblade frame is just pretty straightforward for me, and then also doing all like the bike designs and stuff too. Um, it's just nice for me to have an outlet for that kind, my training in something that I'm like pretty passionate about.
Wait, I'm sorry that I'm laughing about, but I need to show you this. Check the comment we just got. Big flags.
That's my homie Matt. He's actually one of the guys that helped me film a lot of that.
That's awesome.
What up,
I
Matt?
just had to, I just had to show it to you. Okay, so now, me, just as, I guess like just before I even go to my question, how many frames did you made right now? How many frames were sold, and how many are you selling on the next batch?
So the first prototype frame is just a one-off. That's the one that my friend helped me make, and the one that I'm skating. And then after that, I made a small batch of 10 pairs that I sold just kind of like through Instagram. Like after I posted about them initially, a lot of people hit me up in my DMs and were like, yo, are you going to make more? Like, how can I get this? And that's kind of what got me thinking that maybe this would be something that I would make to sell to other people, because I think it's a really great product. And, you know, I don't think I'd be the only one who likes them. I hope. So
Now you want. That's why you already sold some. But like, I will explain you in a bit why I was making the question that I was. But before that, we got someone that just got here. We're about to get to the 50 viewers at the same time. So before we even go ahead, for those almost 50 people watching this, I'm just gonna ask them to stop for 5 seconds, go on their own social media, share the link to this so that we get more people. The goal is to get it to 100 before we finish this. And the reason, just explaining them a bit, basically we're trying to show a product, and when we show something like that, we can actually play with the algorithms and all that stuff. So basically, if we have more views live, YouTube is going to suggest this to more people, and it's like a way to promote the product that we're actually talking about right now. Now, I was asking you about how many frames you made, because me, just like all the other people that actually order the frame or are ordering the frame, at the moment they will be going through a little bit of a struggle with choosing wheels. Can you tell us the way, please?
yeah, so you're right in that wheel selection is like very, very critical for a product like this. I didn't even fully realize like how much of a difference wheel profiles made until I got that first prototype. Because initially I was like, all right, well, I'll buy a set of like the Eulogy 47s and the new undercover Apex wheels, and that's just going to be like the dopest setup possible, right? Like aluminum frame with aluminum core wheels. I'm just going to be like shredding in the park. But I put them together and I found out that the Apex actually has a little bit of a rounder profile. So I've got one here, a little bit rounder than, for example, the Eulogy that has a little bit more of a square profile. So people can see that. And the main problem is like not so much when you're rolling forwards, but when you're like pushing, so you're on the edges of your frames, right? When you pair like a round profile outer wheel with a square profile inner wheel, the outer wheels lift up when you're off axis. So
I
some
can explain
people,
you how that's called.
yeah, what's the name for it?
I made a video called Magic Rock Ring, so it's
Uh-huh.
called Magic.
So yeah, your wheels get magically rockered when you're pushing on the square center wheels, and to me, it feels really bad. And especially if you're using like a hard anti, then you've got no grip from your outers, and
Yeah,
so
that's
easy to
different.
slip out. Kind of sucks.
Yeah, it
Um,
can depend. Like the reason why I did it before was on a Wish frame, you would use 60s and 72s, or I wanted to use smaller wheels, and I started using 55s and 68s
mm,
to have a little bit more of the space that I'm actually going to have with the Masterblade frame. But
right.
the thing was, by using these, it's a very long frame. The Wish is a very long frame. So without even realizing, because I was using two different wheel profiles, I ended up realizing that it was actually cool, because when I want to turn, that will give me a little bit of rockering, and that would make it cool for some different stuff. When I was going straight, I was still going like solid. When I wanted to turn, it would make it a bit easier. But it's different from such a short frame, because it's a much longer frame, the Wish.
Yeah, that's true. And you know, I know like some people who like doing like the quick swivel turns and stuff like that. Like they purposely set up their skates this way. Um,
Come
just
on, new school, baby.
I'm just not one of those people. You know, I'm old school. I like all my wheels touching at the same time, or no middle wheels.
So let's
But
get into the wheels.
yeah,
So you realized
so
about the wheel profiles,
the wheel
important
profiles
differences.
very important, and so basically, like the second half of my journey with this frame is trying to find wheel pairings that worked, and I think I bought something like 10 or 15 different types of wheels just to try different combinations and different profiles. And I found 3 combinations that I think work really well. And also, there's another solution that I'll talk about later, but I'll just talk about the wheels that I found that work pretty well for me right now. I'll talk about that later. So the first, like I said, the first combo I tried was the undercover with the Eulogy. That didn't work, and so I was looking for other 47 millimeter wheel options, and there isn't really a ton out there at the moment. I don't know what happened with rollerblading, but nobody makes 47s anymore in like an anti-rocker. I think everyone's skating flat now, but I did find these hockey wheels that apparently like roller hockey goalies use, and they use a 47 millimeter wheel that has a very like round profile. And so this is the revision Klinger wheel. Basically, I think, let me see. It's an 82A, so it's a little bit softer than what most aggressive skaters are used to, but the profile is like an identical match for like the undercover Apex and I'm assuming other round profile undercover wheels. And so this I thought was probably like the best combination for a round profile 60. Otherwise, I also found, so this is my skate right now, and this is the setup that I'm riding. I'm using a Eulogy 47 millimeter anti-rocker, and then these 60 millimeter wheels I got from Oak City, also called the Apex, but I think that's the brand name. But the profile on these actually matches the Eulogy really well too. So this is what I think.
It's not a perfectly round profile. It's more of
It's kind of like an oval.
It's like a squishy one, like, right? Am I right? It's more like smashed from the top.
Yeah.
Round, but like,
so it's not like a circle, but it's like, yeah, like an oval shape.
yeah.
So I think.
And what about the durometer of the Eulogies?
These are
101.
101A. Yep. And so a lot of people like expressed concern about riding like an anti-rocker actually like touching the ground, but I've never had a problem with it. Like I think as long as you're using a urethane wheel, it's going to be like grippy enough, especially if you're riding it flat and paired with a softer outer. I've had no issues at all. But if that is like a big problem to people, then they can get these hockey wheels, or they can get these wheels that I'm trying to get poured. And so once I found this profile
That's what I wanted to get.
Yeah. So after I found this wheel, I was like, okay, this is the perfect shape. But the durometer needs to be different. And so I reached out to the manufacturer of this wheel to try and see if I could get some samples poured. And so I've got some coming in a 95A, so a little bit harder than a normal rollerblade wheel, but softer than like a traditional anti-rocker. And so hopefully those will be here November, December-ish. I'll be able to try those out because I think
Let me make you one question, sorry. Just to increase the confidence of whoever is buying the wheels, do you want or can you speak about the manufacturer that will make those wheels, or you prefer not to talk about it? Just saying that because it makes a huge difference for a lot of people who's looking for the frames if they know that the wheels that are coming are pure quality.
Yeah, so this is the same US manufacturer that makes like all the undercover wheels. I think they pour for Dead. I think they pour for basically like yeah, all of like the smaller companies even. And so they've got like a really good aggressive compound, and that's what I hope to use on these
They have
wheels
the
that I'm
best.
getting.
They actually have the best. Okay, so let me just resume it for someone who's watching this at home. So basically, if you want to have some of these frames that we've been talking about through this live stream, it's called the Masterblade. It's this frame. It has to ride flat with the maximum wheel size, you would be using 47 millimeters in the middle and 60 millimeters as outer wheels. But what's happening also with this is it's actually hard to get the wheels that you want. At the moment, what you have on the market, it's mainly goalie okay wheels, and those are usually super soft as the indoor wheels, or if you get the outdoor okay wheels, they're still not hard enough for what we want. Like, if I'm not mistaken, the hardest one that you get is either 82 or 84. Then it jumps from 84 to a full-on anti-rocker, which is at the moment what you got, the LG ones that fit perfectly with some other wheels that Kareem also spoke about, the Apex wheels. But the problem at the moment with those wheels is that it doesn't need to be a problem, but they're a lot harder than what we are used to use as middle wheels. So this is the reason why Kareem needs to start looking into wheels. So in the wheels that you're going to be looking into, what are you expecting on those wheels? What type of profile? What type of durometer?
So the wheels that I want are going to be the exact same mold as these hockey wheels that I found, because the profile, like I said, is just like a complete like 100% match for like the round profile under covers, which I like a lot. And they'll be in a 4795A. And so I think that will be like the final piece to this whole puzzle. Because really, I want
piece. That wouldn't be the final piece. The final piece is actually what our friend Tyler Johnson just wrote here. The final piece would be the day that you come out with the whole wheel set.
I feel like that's a lot of work, but maybe.
Yeah, but imagine if you come out with a whole wheel set, you can sell it as a bundle.
That's true.
Not cheap. But nowadays, skates are not cheap. You just saw the new Dem skate, a plastic boot, coming out for 500 euros. So
That's true. I'm actually thinking I'm probably going to buy those because they look awesome.
I know, they look so good.
So, I didn't finish talking about the wheels. So, these black wheels. Oh wait, no, sorry. These black Apex wheels, I think, are also the same as the 50/50 60 millimeter wheels, and there might be another kind of like more generic pour, but it's all the same wheel as far as I know. And so, the important
if
thing
I'm
here,
not mistaken, is it the 60 millimeters that you're talking about from
60 mil, yeah.
Okay, because I know that the 58 has a flat top.
Yeah.
Profile.
So that might be like the 60, but like shaved down or something. But the 60 is what I was looking for a matching profile for the Eulogy, because the undercover profile just wasn't the same, and needed something to match the Eulogy because that's the only anti-rocker that's available in a 47. So the other thing that I kind of realized is that there's some other anti-rocker sizes that are available. Well, one other. So there's a few companies making a 45. One of them being Gods, which is this wheel. Has like a little bit of a flat profile on the top, and then sort of like rounds off on the sides. So, for these frames to work, riding completely flat, you need basically a 13 millimeter difference in diameter. And so a 45 will work with a 58. And so what I was trying to do also was find a combination that would work for this. And the solution that I found was these undercover, they're called the naturally aged. And I think the NN Pro wheel is the same thing too, just with a different graphic. But these are like a square profile outer wheel, and it matches really well with this anti-rocker as well. So 3 solid wheel combination options that I found that work, and then hopefully more in the future if I get these wheels poured and they end up being good.
Okay, apparently, according to Kenny Johnson, there's a muzzle which I don't know if you remember. There was a brand, you know muzzle from the UK.
Never heard of
Okay,
them.
I'm pretty sure you do, man. I just don't remember the previous name that they have like a different. It's very trendy
Oh,
wheel
I think I know what you're
clothes.
talking about.
I don't
Uh,
remember, man. I don't really remember the name.
it wasn't like Project Go or something. Did that turn into that?
No, no, not Go Project. The Go Blading.
Dirtbox
Blading.
maybe?
Sorry?
Was it
If
Dirtbox?
someone can tell us the previous name, I know that Martin is watching now. Martin is watching this. Martin, please let us know the name from the previous company to um, to Muzzle. I don't really remember. It's the name just doesn't come to me.
Well,
Anyway,
whatever. They have a
some
47.
yeah, they also have a 47. I don't know if it's a urethane because that's one of the problems that a lot of people have. One of the problems that one of the problems that a lot of the wheels will have if it's a regular anti-rocker as we had over the last couple of years. Because what happened was there was a time that aggressive skates went from having from using anti-rocker wheels to going freestyle frames, and then when freestyle frames started coming out, a lot of wheels started being made out of plastic. And then with the wheels being made out of plastic, obviously there was some wheels before like the CDS Detroit and all that, but back then they used to have bearings. And then there was the grind rocks that had no bearings. But the thing is, over the last couple of years, there's more and more and more brands making anti-rockers without bearings, or even anti-rockers with bearings but made out of plastic. And those wouldn't really work with this sort of frame. So we're looking into 47 millimeters with the right profile, made out of polyurethane.
Yeah,
Right?
definitely do not try and skate these frames with the plastic wheel.
Dirt Box, obviously, that's the name of the company. Do you remember Dirt Box?
I
They
said
had some.
Dirtbox.
Yeah, Dirtbox is like they are like very very cool imaging. They had these 2 socks. One of them just I think it's a very basic sock. It's like very basic socks, and one of them used to have just say switch. It's very, like
Oh,
their
that's funny.
branding was awesome, but they didn't went that well. They gave too much stuff away, and then they rebranded everything under the name Muzzle. So
Yeah, I'll
please
have to
do
check it
let
out because, as far as I know, there's not like
oh,
a ton of like wheel manufacturers, and so there's probably a good
the
chance.
Muzzle is a 100A. So it's a bit softer than the Eulogy.
Yeah,
We were also talking about these other wheel that people can find on. I found it on eBay. It's yeah, you have it there. So if
yeah, that's
someone
good.
looking into it, have you tried it?
I haven't tried this one, but this one's interesting. It's a little bit softer. I think they market it as like 88 or something.
Okay.
Um, but this one doesn't have a core. Um, yeah, I don't know.
Which
I don't
can
really know too much about it, but I've got
can you
them.
show it back like closer to the? Yeah, you can. There's a. It's being sold under the brand Yak, which is spelled like this. If someone wants to also try it, they can find it under this name, Yak Research. They make all sizes of wheels. I have no idea if they work or not. I tried to order it. I told you I tried to order it. They wouldn't ship it to Portugal. They
Right.
wanted to charge me 35 euros to ship a set from. They say they're US made, which I
Yeah,
didn't
could
believe.
be. Um, the reason I haven't really tried these before, or tried these yet, is the profile's kind of square, and so it's not really what I'm after. I want something that matches like a round profile because a square profile, like anti-rocker, that's kind of already available. And there's not really, as far as I could find, like a 60 mil that also has a flat profile. Most of them seem rounded. So, like, if there was a 60 in this sort of shape, like, I think that would be pretty cool. But
I showed you one.
did you?
Yeah, it's not really square.
Oh, the
This is
USD,
also
right?
not 60. This is 61. This is the USD AN wheel. Question: do you think you can go 61 on the Masterblade frame?
Yeah, it'll fit a 61. The one thing is, though, so these frames require like wheel well modification, which I don't think we've really talked about yet. But it's basically you have to remove material from under the toe of the skate
Let me just
and
show
then
you.
from behind the heel, so you can see.
Yeah, it's this. It's the same that you had to do with a lot of the frame, with a lot of the sole plates with the wish frames, and now some of the skates already come with it, like the
Some already
new.
come with it.
Yeah, most of it already come. In fact,
The only skate that you can skate stock with my frame is the Adapt. As far as I know, I think every other boot will need to have that section machined or dremeled out or whatever. But I guess the point I was making was that you can increase wheel size, but that means you also have to remove more material from your boot, which if you're riding the 60 millimeter wheels, you need about 4 millimeters of clearance, just over 4 mil. And then if you're riding like 58, then that'll be 3. So just something to consider when upsizing wheels.
okay, just so that whoever is watching this is what I was telling you that I would like to use on mine. I don't think I have the anti-rockers here, but give me 1 second. Meanwhile, while I disappear, let me show you this. And then, now that I'm back, I want to show you. I showed it to you before, but to whoever's watching this at home now. So these right here, these are the Conjure Joey Chase wheels, and I plan on using these in front and back and using the ground control 45 millimeters, but as Kareem just said, the shapes of the wheels, the profile of the wheel will not match. So as Kareem was just saying, one of the things that can be done, it's probably not going to be done perfectly, is shading the middle wheels, giving it like a different shape in a way that they would match the front and back wheels profile. So that's what I'm planning to do. And I'm also going to ask you, I'm also going to tell you why I actually got this frame. What sort of axles are you using on those? Because on these ones I have one-sided axles, which is actually a very cool thing on aluminum frames. Those ones don't seem to me like they have those sort of axles, but on these ground control ones, the reason why these wheels are actually stuck here is because they are stuck. It's not deep enough, so I can't take them off. I don't really know. I'm scared of losing 2 wheels. I don't want to lose these 2 wheels. I love these wheels. I only got a set of 8, and at the moment I only have 6 usable ones. So what sort of axles are you using on those?
So the hardware that I have on the frames that I'm riding, and also the frames that from the initial batch, are Solomon 8mm axles. And those are just something that I found in like a lot for pretty cheap. And so that's what I've been using on those. I think in future versions we'll be using either like a generic hardware or maybe something custom. I'm not sure yet.
Would you
But
go one-sided? Would you go one side or always?
that doesn't really work with my frame because the axles are what hold the sidewalls on.
Okay.
And so without that, there's nothing holding one of the sides of the sidewalls.
Can you show us the frame? Yeah, like that in profile, just like that from the front, just like that, please.
Yeah.
No,
So
no,
you've got
like
Delrin, aluminum, Delrin, and the H block in the middle.
and like if we see it from the front, like really just like this. Check this, just like that. Wait. Yeah. So that's another question that I'm gonna make you right now is one of the selling points from solar is actually not just that aluminum is more responsive and more durable, but it's also they have like a slimmer frame, and by having a slimmer frame it reduces the possibility of the frame touching when you're just carving, if you're going to carve a bowl or something like that, which on yours should actually be a bit more extreme because you have a lower frame. Also, they say that having like a slimmer frame will increase the sole space. Is this something that you thought about, or?
Yeah, so that's a little bit of a consideration. For me, I ride shadows, so I'm not hurting for sole or negative space. But I know that like some newer boots are like pretty thin. This frame itself is not any thicker than like a normal plastic frame. And then I guess with regards to like skating transition or the possibility that your skate's going to wash out because when you're riding a ramp, the sidewall touches. You can see here that the bottom edge of the frame is chamfered, and so that's the same thing as having like a super thin walled frame. I haven't had any problems with like the frames touching when I'm riding ramps, and yeah, I think that's kind of a non-issue for this.
If you go through the comments let me just maybe go through the comments of the video that we posted earlier today, and on those comments, give me 1 second while I'm trying to get it here. On those comments, there was some stuff that was being said. Maybe we can go through some of those, if that's okay for you.
Totally. I saw some of those comments were like, some people wrote some essays in there.
Nah, we're not gonna go that way. Let me just see what we got here. So, I know that someone was actually talking about the Kaiser Elements frame, but I'm gonna read them here. Looks like a Kaiser Element 2 frame, but costs ×3. I know I don't think it would mean the Kaiser Elements 2. I mean, if there's something that would be similar to these, would be the Elements 1, but even like that, there's a huge difference on it, which I will talk about in a second after letting Kareem talking also about it, if he wants to elaborate a bit. So
this is the Kaiser Element 2. This is the frame that I was riding for a little bit last year. So it's basically like the frame itself, the chassis is just a single piece of aluminum, and then you have your H block, which is also aluminum, I'm guessing. You can see that the frame height is just significantly taller, as well as like the shape of like the H blocks. It's pretty different. The thing I didn't like about riding this frame was how it felt when you're grinding. To me, just like, unless you're grinding like coping, like that's waxed, it just feels pretty bad. I guess the way I would describe it is like if you're grinding like a rough ledge or something, or even coping that's kind of like the deck is like chipped up a little bit, like you just feel every single like imperfection in whatever you're grinding. And then I also found it to be kind of like a little bit slow on grinds. And like the biggest thing that I didn't like about it was how tall it was. Like I said before, like I don't like bending my knees when I'm skating. I like to do all my tricks kind of more upright, and having a tall frame like really forces you to like dig deep when you're doing like royales or farves or whatever, or even like topside tricks. And so it just wasn't like a comfortable experience for me to ride these frames.
All good. So I was actually looking for something which I can't find, man. I was, I got some. I'm supposed to have some Kaiser elements, like the first version. Oh, I know what I got them. Give me 1 second. Give me
All
one
right.
second because I know what I get. I do have them here already put together in a setup. And this is the cool stuff. But I actually made these, and this is funny because I put this setup together to make a video about the heaviest skate on the market. So this is probably the heaviest skate that you will find.
Oh my god.
This is the latest Rams, the HR 2.5, which I really like the looks of it. It's a bit heavy. And then with these frames, they are heavy. But now here, we can actually see the frame that I think they could be talking about through that comment that I was saying. But this is very heavy.
Mm.
What about the weight of your frame? Is it heavy? Of course, with smaller wheels, would be lighter than these, but
So I weighed them just frame and hardware. And I think they came out to something like 12 ounces or something. I'd have to look it up, but I also have like some old physics frames that were just sitting here, and I weighed those too. And the Masterblade frames were a little bit lighter than the physics, so I think it's a little bit heavier than just like an all plastic frame, but it's not outside of the realm of like what frame weight should be, or it's not prohibitive in like skating or anything.
okay. Yeah, and I saw that those cuts on the side will also reduce a bit of weight.
Yeah,
So I'm pretty sure, like
there's a
bicycle riders are
consideration for
usually
sure.
pretty extreme when it comes to shaving weight of their stuff, and they do whatever they need. So
Yeah,
I
I mean,
don't
there's
know.
definitely
And I
like
was
more opportunity to like remove material, but I think it's kind of fine as it is. I don't, if they were like 2 pounds a piece or something, yeah, that would be like optimize the design and remove as much material as possible. But as it is now, it feels fine to me.
if you if you would do if you would do an injection molded edge block, would you make it solid or non-solid to reduce some weight?
I would probably do like, I don't know, a semi-hollow H block. So all of the grinding surfaces would be solid, and anything that needs structural integrity would be pretty solid. But there's no reason to have material in it in spaces where it doesn't need to be, especially for something that's as large as like the H block. So yeah.
Perfect. Now I got someone just say that there was someone that was saying here that the high-low frames that we've been talking about, they like if they were modded slightly, you could fit 52 millimeter Kryptonics or Hyper, because they also make 52s in the middle and then 60s in the front and back. But that probably will not give you the best experience grinding wise. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I wonder how they modded it too, because the wheels are pretty close. Like the inner wheels are pretty close to the outers. So I wonder if they might have like,
Cut the block.
well, yeah, cut the H block maybe, and then also moved the axle holes more towards the center. I'd be curious to see what
Yeah.
that looks like, but um,
Yeah,
finding a 52
maybe.
is probably even harder to find than a 47 right now.
I know that Hyper still makes some. If you go on Bladeville and Eden Skate, I know they still have it. I think the guys from DC Soul is actually also carrying some of the old Hyper collections. I don't know what the guys from Hyper did. They seem to produce millions of wheels, and every now and then you just see them coming from everywhere. I don't know. Now, someone, what size boot would you recommend? Up to what size boot would you recommend a small size frame?
Probably up to like a 9 or a 10, I would say. Um, I know that like a lot of the boot manufacturers, it kind of like there's different sizes that correspond to different boots, and so like a 10 might be the same as an 11 or a 12. Um, but I guess as far as like people wondering what size that they should order, I would just consider like the wheelbase of the frames. So the small size is 255 and the large is 270 from front wheel to back wheel from the centers of the axles. So you can take a ruler and measure your boots and kind of see what makes the most sense. For me, I don't like to have like I would almost sort of fit somewhere in the middle because I ride a 10. So either size would kind of make sense for me, but I don't really like having like my frames be super long. Like I like to keep my wheels sort of underneath my foot a little bit more.
Yeah, I guess I understand what you mean too. It's like it doesn't always need to be a certain food needs to have that certain um, long
Yeah,
frame or
size.
that it's obviously depends. It's like when you buy a skateboard, you can have wide trucks or slim trucks, but at the same time, for a beginner, yes, for a beginner, when you buy a skate, it's good that the skate comes with a how would I say it,
Like a
properly scaled,
proportional frame.
yeah, proportional or properly scaled frame for that foot, so that people have like the neutral feel, and then they can play around with like a shorter frame or with a longer frame, and then try to understand what they like the most. For Kareem skating, as he likes to move his feet, he doesn't like a lot of let's call it lazy skating, like we were saying, which is cool. There's nothing wrong with that. But for the lazy skating where you don't bend your knees that much and all that stuff, his short frame allows him to do the quick fit tricks that he likes without being extremely fit and without going with a rockered frame. So short frame works.
Yeah.
If you want to still do those quick fit move, but still have a little bit more of a wheelbase for extra balance, then you can go on a good setup. Maybe that could work would be probably the long frame, 47s in the middle, and then instead of 60s in the edges, you can have 58. So there's a little bit of a rockering that would allow you to turn more, but maybe it would turn too fast, especially if you're going to be using 47s 101. So you need to test. It's still all like
There's a lot of trial and error, and you know what works for me and what I like in my setups might not be what the next person likes too. So I encourage people to
yeah.
try things out and see what works for them.
But that is what is cool now, and that's what I was going to ask. And we're probably coming to an end soon. There was a couple more comments on that thing, but before even going there, and I know that I'm going all over the place, but we're trying to dip a little bit. So if someone actually has any question after these, and if someone actually watched till now, which is like almost 1 hour and 10 minutes, if they have any question, maybe they can drop like a comment on the final video, or they can DM Masterblade, Masterblade Co. right on Instagram.
Masterblade Co. on Instagram.
Okay, they can DM, and hopefully better to close deals than make you questions, but they always, they will always happen. My question is: there's some skaters already skating it. I know that one of my favorite skaters of all time is crazy. Just got one of the frames and he's loving it. Who else got the frames? Can you talk about it? Can you not talk about it?
I mean, I guess so. I don't think any of the people would really care. Maybe I don't know. So the person that you're talking about is Gumby, who's legendary stunt skater and probably well into his 30s and still skating like a freaking madman. But he was one of the first people to like buy the frames, and he was probably one of the first people to actually receive them. but he's been skating them and just says that he totally loves them, says that he'll never skate a different frame for the rest of his life. And, you know, to me, that's like, all right, I made something that doesn't totally suck. And he sent me some clips and some stuff that he was doing on them, and it's just completely nuts. So super stoked for Gumby to be riding them. I think that's really cool. Colin Martin bought a pair. And he actually bought 2 pairs. So he bought a pair for himself, and then he bought a pair for Danny Beer, which was very nice of him. I don't know if I have a friend who would spend that much money on me, but it'll be interesting to see what Colin does with these frames, because he's somebody that likes doing like interesting wheel setups. And so he was already talking about doing like a tri-rockered thing, or doing like, you know, square profile inner wheels with like a more rounded or even bullet shaped outer. And, you know, it'll just be interesting to see how like different people kind of use the frames and how they work for their styles. So, and then of course,
is he getting the short? Is he getting the smaller frame, the shorter frame? Because he was actually, when 5-10 minutes ago when I spoke about people having different ideas of what they want as a frame, I remember about 6-7 months ago, Colin was looking for the shortest frame on the market. So I'm actually curious to know if he's getting the short one or the long one.
Yeah, so he got the short ones, and the ones he sent Danny are also the short ones too. So they're going to be on short setups.
Sick.
And then
we're coming to an end. We have a question here just from this guy. What's his name? Mr. DJ KD and B.
Drum and bass.
Are you shipping to the UK? Are you shipping worldwide?
Yeah, shipping internationally. So I've got all of the pre-sale info up on my website, www.masterbike.co. And so, yeah, we're set up to ship internationally, take credit cards, PayPal, whatever.
Masterbike.co?
Yep.
Okay, let me just show it here so that people know what it is.
And there it is. And so some people are kind of confused as to why like a bike company was making a skate frame. And the reason is because the owner is a rollerblader.
And that it's cool. And like you were actually answering some of the comments. I think it was on the video that we previously posted, and you were saying that it's just easier for you as someone who already has a whole business around that, which is called Master Steel. It's Master Bike. It's just easier for you to set it up that way, right?
Exactly.
I like the name Masterblade. So all good. I guess that's it. We came to an end. Kareem, thank you so much for everyone who watched it with us. I hope they learned something today. I hope they enjoyed it as much as we did. I would love to take this comment away, which I can't. I don't know what I'm doing here. I know now. And that is it. We might be doing some more of these. If anyone has any doubts about how to contact Kareem or how to pre-order the frames, there's a link for that in the description. You can drop comments on this video or DM Kareem, or actually go on that website probably, and probably most of your questions will be answered through the website. So
yeah, there's a lot of info in the description of the website. So check that out first before you ask me a bunch of questions.
Okay. Kareem, any last words? Anything else you want to say before we finish this?
Just want to say thank you, Lino. It's been really cool, and I really appreciate you having me on your channel. It's my first time on YouTube Live, I think, so it's pretty cool. And I'm really stoked that you're getting a set of the frames. I think, you know, you're going to do some incredible stuff in them too, and hopefully have some insights on things that maybe I didn't consider or whatever, but I'm stoked to have you on them, homie.
Awesome. And I will be sharing some of these insights with the people watching these videos too. So if this is the first one you're watching, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Now, a funny fact before I finish this video, now it's to finish it. this is the reason we had people asking, why are you making a commercial on the channel? Well, to start with, it's my YouTube channel, so I can actually do what I want with it. That's the first one. Please don't get me wrong, but I've been working my ass off on this, and I own it. It's something that I completely own, and that's what I'm doing. And what I'm doing by doing this with Kareem, it's actually, most of you guys might not know, but it's actually a payback. Because when I first started riding bikes, my first um, I don't even know if I can call it a sponsor, but like my first help from someone was from Kareem's shop, and he was always super supportive to me. The reason why I met other people through the bike world was always through Kareem. So it just had to be done. But that doesn't mean that I won't be doing it again. My main goal with this channel is to share content, to share the new products with you, and together we make like a stronger community. So this was just another way of doing it. So thank you, Kareem, for allowing me to do this, and thank you for everything.
Totally
And
appreciate you, Lino.
cheers, man. And to everyone who watched this one, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. It's 20 past 2. I got my family sleeping, and it's about time to go sleep. So cheers and good night. Booyah.